Hi guys, welcome back to Psychic Michael. It's the 7th of March already, 2021. Just before we begin, we get to the crux of it all, the questions. I just want to say that hopefully everyone who's watching this understands I'm just trying to bring a bit of spirituality into our lives, especially in this time of really not knowing what's going on for sure. There's doubt, there's hopium as they call it. But I would just want to bring a bit of spiritual enlightenment if I can. Certainly to those who don't understand spirituality, it's nothing to do with religion, but spiritual it is. So, with no further ado, let's go.
Okay, we've had a few inboxes from people wanting to know what is the best way to contact your guardian angel guide, and what's the best way to keep the communication going?
Oh yeah, this is from last week when we were talking about guardian angels, or what we call guides. I have a foolproof plan that I've used many times, and it's never ever let me down. Certainly on the workshops that I've run all around the place. And really, the first thing we do whenever we want to contact our guide or guardian angel, for anybody new to this, it's really getting to know the name. So I always advocate that you, last thing at night, you take a pen and paper to bed with you, and you say, just before going to sleep, may the highest and brightest that walks with me in the eyes of God, please let me know your name. Now you have to say this out loud, and then you literally just go to sleep. Relax and try and go to sleep. Somewhere within the night, you'll wake up with a name in your head, and I ask you to write it down because you will forget it. Now, if it doesn't happen the first night, by the third night it will definitely have happened. It's never let me down, as I say. And certainly people who have requested this is what I've done before many times. May the highest and brightest that walks with me in the eyes of God, please let me know your name. And somewhere that evening, that morning, early morning, you'll be given a name, or when you first wake up, but please write it down because you will forget it. Now the idea, as I say, is to give at least 3 days, but it will happen, usually the first night. And the key is they're giving you this for a reason. You've asked. Remember I said to you last week, ask and ye shall receive, as it said in the biblical terms. Now, once you're given that name, you look for what people call coincidence. We call it synchronicity, of that name popping up once or twice that week. For instance, you might open a book and maybe you've got an unusual name, but the name appears there. It's what we call rubber stamped. The first stamp is, you can say coincidence, we call synchronicity. The second is gospel. The third is definitely your guardian angel's name. So first is coincidence, or what we call synchronicity. Second to me is gospel, but not everybody believes the gospel, if you understand where I'm coming from. And the third one is definitely you go from believing to knowing your guardian angel's name. But give it a go, certainly for those who are new to this. Now, here's the key. Once you get to know your guardian angel's name, you have to speak to them like I'm speaking to you. You have to have an open conversation with them. The communication has to be open. And the key to this, again, you have to say out loud. Now, I recommend people just sit quietly. If you have a lamp on, that's great. But they will play with lamps and lights. They'll flicker them. People again think it's a coincidence, but it's not. They will play with electricity. So I always say to people, just light a candle. I always have a light a candle myself, certainly when I'm meditating. But you're not meditating, you're talking to your guide, your guardian angel. You know the name, so you want to really prove and put a point to this. So literally sit there in quiet, don't have anything on like the TV or radio or anything, and just talk to them out loud. It feels strange at first if you're new to this, and you might think, you're going off your head a bit. You're not. You're just opening the communication between you and your guide, your guardian angel. Give it a go. If you really take to this, It'll take out all that loneliness that people are feeling at this moment in time. I've had so many requests saying, how can I get rid of loneliness? I'm down, I'm not feeling right. It's been like this for a year now. Where are we going? Where are we headed? The key is to stop the loneliness. And when you get to know your guide, or your guardian angel as we call it, wow, your whole life can change. So get to know the name so you know who you're communicating with, and then just literally communicate with them. It's wonderful, and I mean wonderful, if you just give it a go. And please let me know in the comments below. You can email me, or you can even find me on Facebook, and I'll give you them at the end. But let me know how you're going on, and hopefully I can advise you where you're maybe not doing it correctly. But it's the last thing at night, you ask for your guardian angel's name. When you get the name, and you will be given it within 3 days, remember you have to say it out loud. You then quieten yourself in a room somewhere. It could be the bedroom, the living room, wherever you feel at peace. You can even do this outside if you wish, but light a candle. It's important to light the candle. They see the flame. It's wonderful. It just brings a wonderful, what we call the spirit of yourself, communicating with the spirit of your guide, your guardian angel around you. Give it a go. Let me know how you get on. Okay?
Okay, you wanted to answer Andy, who added you to a post on Facebook, Andy Byrne.
Yes, and hi Andy. What it was, you tagged me into something on Facebook, and if I got it right, it was about your soul being invaded when you leave the earth plane. Your consciousness being invaded by aliens, for want of a word. There was no place to give a comment back to you, so I thought I'd use this format to do it. So Andy, I want you to remember this, and everybody else who's listening, you are a sovereign being. You are consciousness of your own, a godlike being, as in energy consciousness. We spoke about it a few weeks ago. But because you're sovereign, no one has the right to interfere with your consciousness. Now, that's when you leave the earth plane. On this plane, you can have what we call a walk-in, but it's not a consciousness thing. It's actually a physical, what we call walk-in. If you want to look into this further, I recommend some of the writings by Ruth Montgomery. Fascinating stuff. So I won't get into that now. So you can have what we call a walk-in on the earth plane. But spiritually, remember this, spiritually, you're a sovereign being, and nobody can enter that consciousness. Remember, certainly when you pass over to spirit. So that article about aliens taking over your consciousness, no, that doesn't happen. Never. Okay?
And you're going to give people your email address, and if you give them the name on your Facebook, because you've had a few people saying that we can't find you. And
right, okay. Well, my email, for those who don't know this, and because I've given so many readings over the years, people have got this. It's psychicmichael2020@yahoo.com. And my Facebook page is true-psychic Michael. So true-psychic Michael on Facebook.
your picture is a yin yang sign.
And the picture is the yin yang sign, which I use on everything, certainly when I'm teaching this, and whether it's doing workshops or that. In fact, I'll get one I'll put on the wall so it makes sense. As soon as we can get back to some kind of normality and going out and buying it. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, again, hopefully, for those of you who are new to the spirituality of life, have a go. It's really meant to take the loneliness away for anybody who's watching and just wants that insight of knowing somebody walks with you in the eyes of God. And remember, you and them are one in the eyes of God, as well as God, as in energy, creator, or what we like to say, co-creator of life. Okay, thanks very much everybody, and good night.